Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva, the OG Thunder Wizard. A little bit late because I went surfing. And as you know, there is a command, and the command that you are given by your soul is that you must. It's not a suggestion, it's not a good idea. It is a command. You must do the thing that gives you the greatest joy. So that's what I was out doing. So I'm on a rush. I'm going to go get a massage in a couple hours. So I got a little time, and I'm going to upload, keep talking about what we were talking about. So if you didn't watch the earlier 10 Steps to Happiness, Part 1, go back and watch that because I lay the foundation for this. In order for this to work, first of all, you are guaranteed health, prosperity, fulfillment, happiness, spiritual development. You are guaranteed these things. But in order for that to work, you must first adopt certain assumptions. If you do not adopt certain assumptions, then life can be challenging, can be confusing. I was with my group of people that I personally work with for my own benefit, and I was sharing some challenges that I had overcome, and somebody else was sharing something they had overcome. And this person said, "So I hear Mike, and I hear so-and-so, and I hear you say this and that, and it just makes me wonder, what's the point of all of this? Why is life so difficult?" And I said, "It's interesting that that's what you heard, because that's definitely not what I said. What I said was that I had overcome something, and the result was all these really good things." But what I came to understand after listening to that person was that that person did not have the assumption that they deserve to be happy and that they deserve to be successful, and that difficulties, challenges are part of that process. So for him, like most people, and again, most people in my experience are very, forgive the judgment, are very immature in the way that they look at things. They look at things in black and white terms, like little children. And so little children, when something is difficult, that's all they know. It's difficult, I want it to be easy. Why can't I have what I want right now? And so when people run into challenges, if they don't have the assumption that they are guaranteed health, happiness, prosperity, fulfillment, spiritual evolution, connection to their soul, success on every level. If they don't understand that they're guaranteed that, and that part of the process of achieving that involves challenges, if they don't have that assumption in there, then the only thing they know is what they experience right now, and they can't see a way out. My favorite definition of the word depression is not being able to see a future for oneself. That's the perfect definition. Depression doesn't mean that you're sad or you're down. That's normal. Having sad times, being down, feeling confused, those are normal things. I'm not saying that they're fun, but they're normal. But depression is a clinical state where people sometimes become numb. It's not that they're sad and crying all the time. They're just numb. They can't motivate themselves to get out of bed. They can't do anything. They need chemicals in order just to get them going, to get through the day. That's depression. And if you ask them, what are you living for? They won't have an answer because they can't see a future. When I was married to my now ex-wife, I went through depression, and it's because I just couldn't see a future for myself. And I remember sitting there in my home, in my front yard, and I was thinking about my life, and I remember trying to look ahead to the future, and I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see anything for myself. Now, I was in a lot of physical pain as a result of that. We talked about that. So let's walk through these steps again, and I won't go as deeply into the understanding, but what I want to focus on this time is the warrior mindset. You must have this. You must understand that some people do not survive the battle. This is a hard truth. Some people do not survive the battle. And the only reason they don't survive the battle is because they don't continue to fight. So as my ancestors put it, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. And you can't die in battle if you stop fighting. You must fight. You must engage life. You must overcome the challenges. If you are operating from your soul, you will only have to deal with the karmic challenges of your past lives. You won't have to deal with this life. Most people are dealing with past life karma and present life karma. They continue to create more damage for themselves. And it makes their challenge even harder. And the truth is that the universe is actually very patient. The matrix is very patient and will allow you to keep making all kinds of mistakes and, indulging in your victim mentality and whatever else, and not because even if you don't know, you'll end up doing the wrong things, like the guy I shared about earlier, who, when I told him about my recent successes overcoming some obstacles, his response was to focus on the obstacles and to say, why are things so difficult? Why is life so hard? And I said, that wasn't the point of what I was saying. Because he doesn't understand that that's a stepping stone. You have to step up on something to get above it. And that's not his fault. He wasn't taught that. So I want to focus on that. People do lose the battle because they stop fighting. And sometimes the universe gives up on you in this life. You'll get a chance to restart things next life. But the universe has a limit, and at some point the universe will give up. And it'll say, you know what? If that's what you want to achieve in this life, then here's the karma. Enjoy your whatever it is, your fatal illness, your whatever the problem is. Why did that just happen? What's going on? Why did my... That's weird. Yeah, so here's my... Oh, I see. Okay, I don't understand what's happening here. Anyway. Let's try something. Is this from last week? Am I even on YouTube right now? What the hell's going on? Why are things happening so strangely? Sorry, if I'm still live. Okay, I got a little sidetracked. Forgive me about that. New technology. All right, so let's go back and take a look at it. This time let's focus on the steps necessary to not lose the battle. All right, so first step, your soul is God. You can't forget that. If you give up, if you let your fear, if you let your pain, if you let your sadness, if you let your confusion, if you let your previous programming stop you from following through on your commitment to yourself, it means you have forgotten this most important thing. Now, why is it a problem for many people to accept this reality that, number one, your soul is God? Because you have been taught to make other people God. This isn't your fault either. Your parents, your society told you, in order to survive, you must fit in with us. You must fit in with what we say, what we require. In order for us to love you, you must be this, that, or the other thing. That's how you were programmed. So when I tell you your soul is God, that is in direct conflict to your ability to be accepted into many forms of society, perhaps even your own family. If you fully embrace the idea that your soul is God, meaning you are the connection to the infinity of the universe, that you create everything, that you are it, that means you don't need other people. It means you don't need your family's love and approval. You don't need society's love and approval. If you accept that, reality, you are automatically in conflict with much of how human society works. So all you have to do is look at Abrahamic religion, look at Christianity. If what I just said is blasphemy, because according to Jehovah, there is only one God, and it's Him. And you shall not have any gods before Jehovah. And you're not supposed to do anything for your own pride or for your own benefit or for your own happiness. You must do everything for the glory of Jehovah. Jehovah created you for His own pleasure, and He doesn't give a crap about yours. He has a plan for you, whether you like it or not. It has nothing to do with it. So that's how you've been programmed. You've been programmed to function like that. So just accepting this first idea that your soul is God is blasphemy. And so for some of you, this will be traumatic. Because if you accept that your soul is God, it means that maybe your wife, your husband, is the wrong person for you. Maybe your family. It's time for you to pack up and leave and not to carry on the family mantle. Maybe it's time to, whatever the heck it is. You are in danger of offending other people because you're not following what they want you to be or to do. And ironically, the kindest thing you can do for them is to take the action that's going to upset them the most in this particular scenario. So don't overlook the power of that. Your soul is God. And so, like the Old Testament, thou shalt have no other gods before Him, not before Jehovah. You shall have no other gods before your own soul. Your soul is the one thing that you put above everything else. The deities that you worship. I'm a polytheist. I worship a bunch of different deities. I believe in a multiple deity universe. The gods are not the same. I don't worship them in the same way that Christians worship Jesus, or that Muslims worship Allah. To them, they're nothing. They debase themselves before the Almighty. That's not how the gods work. The gods are projections of me. And when I worship Shiva, like my name, Mahadeva is one of Shiva's names. I have the temerity to give myself that name of the great God, is one of the translations of it. The great God. My name, my Christian name, Michael, is a Hebrew name, Michael, which is a question. Who is like God? Even that, you're stepping on into blasphemous territory. Shiva has a mantra, Shivoham, I am Shiva. It's a mantra. Shivoham, I am Shiva, I am the great God. So all of the gods out there are emanations from me, and by worshiping Shiva, Kali, Hanuman, whomever, I am empowering things within myself. This is completely different from what you've been taught. So don't skip that step. You are God. That's the assumption. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to feel it. Accept that. Now, if you are God, follow that logic. If you are God, then that means everything must serve you. The trees, the flowers, society, your body, the economy. I mean, for me, I can't wait until the pandemic is over. But in terms of, for me personally, it has helped me significantly live the life that I live. I mean, I came here to Australia on a tourist visa, and the pandemic hit, and I've been here ever since. I haven't had to leave because I can say, hey, things are bad there. And here they do things so well and they're so isolated that we haven't had any problems. I had to wear a mask for 1 week. Yeah. When I went out in public, for 1 week I had to wear a mask. The rest of the time, you wouldn't even know there's a problem here. And so the pandemic helped me have exactly what I want. It actually ensured that I would stay here. So when you are connected to your divine, your godhood, everything serves you. Even things that destroy other people's lives will serve you. Everything will align itself to make your life better. But that only works if you accept the idea that you are God. Blind Door Studio. If you have a question, first of all, welcome to the channel. The way that I do things is I prefer people ask a question. So an honest question is, something that I'm talking about, which I'm doing. I don't do well with commands. You're throwing a command at me. You're new to the channel. That's okay. It's not your fault. So you're wanting me to tell you more about the plans of Jehovah. Jehovah you're not hearing me. Jehovah is not God. Jehovah does not exist. Jehovah is your narcissistic ego. People who worship God the Father, Jesus, Allah, Hashem, pick your Abrahamic religion. People who worship Jehovah are worshiping their own narcissistic ego. I am that I am. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So Jehovah doesn't have plans for you. That's nonsense. The whole idea that, Jehovah has a plan for you. And people say, I just want to know what God's will is for me. And I say, well, what is it that you want? Well, yeah, but what am I supposed to have that? Is that what God wants for me? There is nobody up there that has a plan for you. You are God, which means when you can figure out what you truly want, you will know what God's will for you is. God's will for me is to live in paradise and live on the beach and surf whenever the hell I want in empty, perfect. I mean, for me, I just, I got up, I put my surfboard in the car, and I went and checked the local break and decided I wanted to go further north. And I drove about 5 minutes, and then I walked for about a half mile on the empty beach all by myself, and found a good little spot and went out and surfed it for a couple hours, and then walked along the empty beach, and the cockatoos and the parrots and the the dolphins and the fish, and the water's warm, and that's God's will for me. I do this part for fun. God's will for me is to surf as often as I can. So I'm not sure what your question is. Again, it's also good to write out a whole sentence in a question and all that. You're asking me what Jehovah's plans are. Jehovah is your narcissism. So Jehovah's plans are to get you wrapped up in your own narcissistic ego and to become, and what happens with really religious people? They become judgmental, they become angry, I mean, think about it. You know, Jesus came to free everybody. Jesus is love. But people who follow Jesus, what do? They throw everybody in hell for everything. You know, if you're a homosexual, you're going to hell. If you have sex outside of marriage, you're going to hell. According to some, if you dance, you're going to hell. You know, I mean, it's narcissism. And so if you worship Jehovah, you are worshiping your own self-directed negativity, your own narcissism. All right, let's keep going. So, your soul is God. Everything must obey God. Your soul incarnates to have fun. Overcoming karma is fun for the soul. Don't skip that. Overcoming karma is fun for the soul. When you run into difficulties, challenges, you will run into them. If you have been following the old pattern of your job is to make other people happy and to live for other people and to get other people's love and approval, most people, in fact, pretty much everybody lives that way. Then when you live for your soul and you accept the assumption that you are God, which means that your deepest desires are in fact divine commandments, and when you follow them, you will have problems. You will have resistance. You will have your own resistance. If nothing else, you will feel guilty, you will feel shameful, you will feel afraid, confused, and you will want to stop. You will want to give up, and you will want to go back and get other people's love and approval. So you have to adopt this assumption. Remember, an assumption is not a feeling. You don't have to feel good about it. You don't even have to believe it. You just have to act on it. You know, when you go and you jump out of a plane, I've never done this, but I assume this is what happens. When you jump out of a plane for the first time, there's a guy behind you, you're strapped to him. He tells you what to do. He says, okay, pull that cord. Okay, do this or whatever. You don't know what the hell's going on. You're falling. You know, gravity is pulling you towards the earth to your certain death. And so you assume that he knows what he's doing, even though you don't have a clue, and you do what he tells you to do. You act based on your assumption. That's what these are. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to feel it. And again, I guarantee you, I don't wish this on you. I hope everything goes easy for you. But if you act according to your soul, you will have problems. You will have difficulty. You won't like those difficulties. They will feel like they're killing you. The pain and emotional challenges may be to such a degree that you feel like it is killing you. That's your feeling. But if you adopt the assumption that overcoming this karma that I hate experiencing is fun for my soul, and my job is to make my soul happy, then that will help to give you the ability to continue to take action, to continue to fight for your survival. As the Vikings put it, to die in battle. That's, again, that's not literal. So you understand that. Oh yeah, now here comes the opposition. I've just declared that I'm going to do whatever it is you're going to do, and here comes the family coming after you. Here comes society. Here comes religion. Here comes your spouse. They're coming after you, and they're going to try and stop you. Your own feelings will come up to try and stop you. If you understand overcoming karma is fun for the soul, you will be able to succeed. Again, it's really important to understand this is a hard truth. Some people lose the battle because they stop fighting. Some people, don't make it in this lifetime. And that's a hard reality. And I've seen it, and I am seeing it in people that I know. And as much as I want to justify and make excuses for why things are happening to them, it's because they've given up. And or they're not conscious of what it is that, something that I'm talking about now. So if you're able to hear what I'm saying and apply it, the guaranteed result is happiness, health, prosperity, fulfillment. But you will have challenges. Let's keep going. 3D life is designed to resist and assist your soul. So those challenges are actually aligning you to have your greatest success. So they can be simultaneously difficult, but those difficulties are necessary in order to, if you're like a big giant ship, it's hard to steer a ship, then the difficulties are going to force you to make that shift that you wouldn't make otherwise. When I came here to Australia, it wasn't an easy decision. I wanted to stay where I was, but so many things just happened. My fiance passed away, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and things were just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And finally, the pain of being there became so much that I decided, okay, well, screw it. I'm just gonna drop everything and put everything in a suitcase and get on a plane, and who knows what'll happen. And it was the best decision I ever made. If I had stayed, I'd be stuck in Southern California, for a year during COVID. It would have been miserable for me. Instead, I've been walking along in semi-tropical, beautiful, rainforest and surf because I listened. I allowed the karmic challenge to and the resistance I was feeling to actually assist me in changing my direction. Let's see what else. In order to become conscious, you must face the challenge. I've already said that. You're either advancing towards your ascension or retreating towards resistance. That, unfortunately, is like any battle. Your opponent, your enemy in battle, is completely, totally committed to your destruction. They're not going to stop. You can't say, hey, sometimes you hear about a truce. Hey, we're going to take the day off for this, that, or the other thing. Well, life doesn't do that. Life doesn't give you a truce. The resistance that's coming at you is going to keep coming at you until it defeats you. And it's defeated you when you give up and you stop fighting. You go back to your abusive ex-wife or ex-husband. You go back to that crappy job. You go back to trying to please other people. You give up on your stupid, my thing is stupid. You've given up. You've stopped fighting. So you are either advancing toward your ascension or retreating towards your resistance. And if you continue to make choices and continue to retreat towards your resistance, I'm talking about continuously over time. Don't get a perfectionist about it. It's okay to make mistakes. To go. We're always, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's part of life. So it's okay to make mistakes, fall back a little bit, get back on your horse, and keep going. But some people just keep pushing farther and farther back, keep continuing to refuse to follow through on their commitments to themselves. And that builds up, that energy builds up, and then that karma will bite you in the ass. So you're either advancing towards ascension or retreating towards resistance. 8, ascension is a life and death struggle. This is kind of the point here. There are some people that do not survive the battle. Now, it's never too late. If you're still breathing, you're not dead, it's never too late. You can always turn your ship around and go where you want to go. But, let me tell you a story of just one person that I know. Well, I've talked about my brother a lot. If you were to talk to my brother, I don't even know if he's still alive. Maybe he's happy and wonderful. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years now. But if you were to talk to him, he would tell you and he would convince you of how horrific his life is, and he would blame me for it. He would tell you why it was my fault and why society did this and society did that, except I've seen him my whole life, almost his whole life. I wasn't around for the first 5 years of his life, but I've watched him ever since then. And I can tell you, having watched him, that he has invested huge amounts of energy in his misery. He doesn't see it that way, but that's exactly what he's done. Whenever he's has been given an opportunity to make risky choices towards his empowerment, he always took the easy way out and blamed everybody else, and refused any opportunities that came his way to make his life better. There was another guy that I knew, who I knew since I was a little kid, the most brilliant guitarist I've ever heard. I mean, he was self-taught, and I remember when I was 12 years old, and he must have been 14 or 15, and I can remember him just playing guitar, and he did that for hours. He didn't even have headphones or anything. He would just sit on his bed watching television. He'd play, or wherever he was, he'd just constantly playing his guitar. And he was absolutely phenomenally brilliant. Everybody that listened to him could see that he's just phenomenal. And he just kept on sabotaging himself. He'd get an opportunity, he'd put a band together, he'd get an album deal together, and he'd sabotage it. And the last time I saw him, he was addicted to, he had destroyed 2 marriages. He was addicted to opiates. And then I had to, for my own health, I had to stop having any contact with him. And then the last I had heard of him is that he had ended up in Idaho in the wintertime underneath a freeway overpass drinking mouthwash. That's how bad things got. And now he can't hold a thought for more than 10 seconds at a time, and he's in a halfway home. At some point, if you continue to act against and refuse to work through the challenges, at some point the universe will give up. So you know what? Next time around, maybe next time. But this time, and people die. He's in a state, I would say, that's worse than death. He'd be better off dead. Who wants to live like that? All right, so the goal is fulfillment, happiness, and health. The point of all this is not to be spiritual. It's not to be good. It's not to be righteous. It's not to be famous. It's not to be, drowning in money. It's not to be the most powerful person in the world. It's about being happy and free and fulfilled, and whatever the hell that means for you. That's the goal. There is no light at the end of the tunnel, meaning there is no enlightenment. People want to escape the matrix. People want to be saved. People want to achieve enlightenment. There is no end state of, okay, now everything is bliss and everything's perfect and there are no problems. Even after you've gone past this life, this is the way things are. There's going to be some other challenge on some other level that we don't understand. And you will enjoy that. You will want to grow and to learn. So the end result is not to be saved or to be liberated. The end result is to achieve your happiness, to achieve your fulfillment. When you achieve your greatest happiness and fulfillment, you will not need to incarnate as a human anymore. So stop trying to escape. Escape only drives you deeper into the matrix. The way to escape is to be here, accept it, and then get the most out of it. Enjoy it, appreciate it, find fulfillment. Be the creator of the matrix, not the enemy of it. 10, most people give up before achieving the goal. That's a fact. Most people give up. And so again, only those who die in battle go to Valhalla. All right, I'm happy to take questions. I've got a short amount of time here. Ed the Wave question: is that similar to the holy guardian angel idea of Western occultism? So Ed the Wave, you're not new to my channel, and what is it that I say? I don't talk about things I don't teach. I don't know what the hell that is. So you have to answer that question. I have no idea what the holy guardian angel idea of Western occultism is. It means nothing to me. I It's not my thing. I don't vibe well with Western occultism. To me, it feels clunky and it's got a bunch of Abrahamic stuff, but that's just me. Some people it works really well for them. It doesn't work for me. So don't ask me questions about stuff I don't know. Jameson Colliday question, acting as if and momentum, question mark. You've said you don't have to believe or feel good, but take action on the 10-step assumptions. That's right. What do you do to reinforce within yourself these assumptions? I don't reinforce the assumptions. I just act on them. An assumption I have, which is, again, not a belief and not a feeling, but an assumption that I have is that chronic pain is psychosomatic. So in my body, when I start to feel tendonitis, or I start to feel sciatic pain, down the leg or something like that, like for right now, my right knee is feeling stiff. It's psychosomatic. That's an assumption. I can't prove it. If I go to a doctor, they're not going to understand that. They're going to tell me, it's not that it's not real. It is real. My brain is shutting down oxygen flow to the nerve tissues in my sciatica. But there's nothing physically wrong with me. It means that I'm struggling. I've got some unconscious resistance to my own happiness, and I'm having a bit of a struggle. That's an assumption. So when the waves are good, and this didn't happen today, but when the waves are good, and if, let's say, I had neck pain, which I knew was psychosomatic, or if I had, wrist pain or something like that, which was something I went through just recently, instead of listening to the pain and saying, "Oh, I better stay home," I operate on the assumption, which is, I already know that there's nothing physically wrong with me. I must follow my deepest soul desire. I'm going to go surfing. And I might first couple times feel some pain, and then the pain will disappear. It happens every time. Pain will leave the moment that I really commit to what it is I'm supposed to do. Now, you don't have to do that. Everybody, go talk to a doctor before you do things like that. But that's an assumption. It has nothing to do with what I feel. I don't need to reinforce it. I just act on it. Jameson Colliday, honest feeling, resisting self-care, starting the 90-day challenge repeatedly feels like I actually don't want to be well. That's right. Because you were taught that if you were well, you would kill your mother and your father, now that I know about both of them. Both of your parents told you energetically, if you're healthy, it'll kill us, so knock it off. So you've been programmed not to want to be well. In fact, when you start to feel good, all kinds of negative shit comes up. You start to feel worthless, you start to feel bad, you start to feel guilty, you start to feel angry, because then your soul kicks in and says, what are you talking about? I'm here to enjoy myself. And then there will be this rage. That's where the rage comes from. Because you're being told, don't be healthy, don't be happy. And then there's a part of you that wants to survive and says, fuck you, I want to have a good life. Stop telling me that. And then you get mad at yourself because you're not supposed to feel like that. You were told, you better not get mad at me when I start shoving my garbage down your throat. So you're absolutely right. That conscious awareness is good, but that has nothing to do with what you're supposed to do. That feeling of I don't want to be well is you acknowledge, you go, that's an interesting feeling. I've been commanded to go be well and be happy. And so you're going to go do that. Your body will get healthier and happier. You might go through a lot more emotional dysfunction, but it's temporary. Remember, overcoming karma, another assumption, overcoming karma is fun for the soul. It didn't say it was fun for you. It wasn't fun for your brain or your emotions or your psyche, but it's fun for your soul. Your job is to make your soul happy. Your soul is happy when you are overcoming these things. Why does love and intimacy with others feel more real than that of the universe? Because you were told, as an infant and as a kid, you were told that you don't exist unless we tell you you exist. You were given a conditional love. So love for you is conditional. Love means other people's approval. your own empowerment, empowerment and approval of yourself is blasphemy. You're blaspheming against your parents. So it feels more real to you because that's how you've been trained. When you go after yourself, you're going to feel, you specifically, you're going to feel a lot of emptiness, and you're going to feel a lot of isolation. You're going to feel alone. I'm going through the same thing here. I've been here in Australia for 2.5 years almost. It's hard to believe. Has it been that long? Yeah. And 2 years? No, 2 years. Almost 2 years. Sorry. I've been here almost 2 years. And in the beginning, I was very sad because I was mourning on a deep level the loss of my fiance. And then I went through this period of feeling like a screw up because I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have, I didn't have a significant other, and I felt like a loser. And I sat with that, and after some time, I started to realize I don't have a significant other because I don't want one. I'm really just enjoying empowering myself. For me, walking, when I go surfing, I like to walk on the beach for half a mile or a mile. I just being by myself in the empty wilderness beachy thing is just, I enjoy being alone, and it's taken me a really long time to realize it's okay. So me feeling like a screw up and me feeling like I need to have somebody in my life was coming from my need to be loved of and approved by others. And for me, having a hot chick by my side walking down the beach and showing others that was a way of telling people on an unconscious level, hey, look, my mom loves me, see? Because the woman, a woman, represents, symbolizes, feminine acceptance. So having a hot chick under my arm is the same as saying, see, mom loves me. I'm a good boy. And being alone felt wrong. I felt bad. I felt unloved. When in reality, the truth is that I didn't want to be with anybody. That's why I was alone. There was no shortage of women making themselves available and chasing after me, and I'd get confused as to why I kept rejecting them. So it doesn't feel real to you because you've been taught that only acceptance, it's codependence, that transactional love. You only have worth based on what you do for other people. And so when you just work to fulfill yourself, you're going to feel worthless. And that's why it doesn't feel real. Let's see, what else? Eddie5241 question. How do the emotions have a part in this? What do you mean? You have to be more specific than that. Baba Junzo question. Would hoarding be some kind of karma for the soul to overcome? Hoarding is a pretty serious psychological dysfunction, so yes. Why are you asking that question? You realize that's a strange question. So unless you're a hoarder, or unless somebody in your life is a hoarder, that's a strange question to be asking me. I haven't said, so here's what hoarding is all about. You brought that up. So now I want to know who's the hoarder and why are you asking? Are you asking for yourself or somebody else? Because if you're asking for yourself, that's a good question. If you're asking because somebody else in your life is a hoarder, that's none of your business. It's not your job to fix them. It's not your job to tell them. The only thing you say to a hoarder is, I don't want to be in your house and I don't want to spend time with you because this is really, it's sad for me to see you like this. So I'm not going to be in your life or come over and visit you while you're doing this. If you want to go get some therapy for it, that would be great. I'd support you in that, but that's completely your business. Until then, I'm not setting foot in your house and I don't want to hear about your craziness. That's the kindest thing you can do for a hoarder. Creative Virgo question. Creative Virgo, I want to change our dynamic. Would you like to do that with me? I'd like to change our dynamic. You're leaving weird passive-aggressive questions and comments that don't make me feel good. You left one just recently about my lips smacking on another video, and I don't like that. That doesn't make me want to work with you and help you. When you come on here and you were leaving some questions that weren't questions, and I was being honest with you, that annoys me. I don't know where that comes from, but whoever taught you how to act like that, I'm not interested in giving you negative attention. If you want attention from me, then operate from an honest place. And if you don't know how to do that, we can learn how to do that together. But I just want to clear the air. I read that most recent comment and it made me want to just block you. It was just passive aggressive and it was destructive, and that in no way did it make me feel good about being connected to you. So let's start over, all right? Creative Virgo question: would you do a slow-mo expand universe? I managed to not do it and I wind up laughing at self. I don't know what that means. That's not a question, that's a request. I don't operate that way. I don't really do well when people tell me what to do. I'm not a vending machine. So if you're a student, the way it works is you show up and you listen and you do your best to try and follow my directions to, accomplish what I'm teaching. If I don't teach what you want, you go somewhere else. What else? Ed the Wave says, kind of strange how a lot of guys end up dating women that are basically younger versions of their mothers. It's not a lot of guys, it's every single guy. Now, if you had a great mom, you're going to have a great wife. If you had, whatever your mom's faults, you're going to go after some woman that has those same faults. And we do it so that we can overcome that. We do it because we're trying to get, number one, mom is the original version of love and nurturing. So as men, we want that. Heterosexual men, that's what we want. But if we had challenges with our mom, then we're going to want to recreate it and try and fix it. It never works. It's a bad strategy. So usually what happens is the person will marry their mother or date their mother, or somebody that represents their mother, and they'll either get more deeply entrenched in their garbage, or they will overcome it and shake their head and go, man, I don't want that anymore. And then they'll move past their connection to their mom and they'll connect more deeply to their soul. And so ideally the next partner will be more of a reflection of their soul than of their mother. So it's not just a lot of guys, it's every single guy. Baba Junzo, I'm asking for myself. Baba Junzo, you need help. You need to go see a therapist. Asking me is hoarding a karmic thing. That's true, but you've got a serious problem. You need to go and talk to a professional. Look, if you've got a boil on your arm and pus is oozing out, and somebody says you need to go to the doctor, you don't respond by saying, I'm just going to put some mercurochrome on it. I think it'll be all right. You're not capable of healing yourself at that point. If you are a hoarder, you're not capable of healing yourself. Your thinking is what's getting you there. Your thinking isn't going to get you out. So get your ass to a therapist. If you don't do that, I won't have any sympathy for you. I appreciate your honesty in sharing that, but yeah, you're not going to be able to fix that on your own. Going to a therapist and working through the issues that come up with your therapist and or whatever support group, or if there's a 12-step group for that, the stuff that comes up as a result of working through that, that's the karma. The challenges of working through that will be you overcoming your karma. So that's what's in front of you. Your soul is saying, I need to work through this karma and I need to do it in these ways. If you don't do that, again, I won't have any sympathy for you. I'll have empathy for you, but I won't have any sympathy. Eddie 5241, how do the emotions have a part in this? He says, I'm asking because I have a problem connecting to my emotions. To walk the path of my soul, how do I connect to my emotions? I mean, that's such a huge, I don't know you well enough to know why you can't connect to your emotions. I don't know if you, for all I know, you could be, have some kind of mental issue like, what are those people called? Like Asperger's or something like that. Or because you have some emotional trauma, I don't know. I would go talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I don't have enough information to tell you why you can't connect to your emotions. Ed the Wave, honest feeling. After doing the 90-day exercise for a couple of months, a lot of angers and frustrations have come up in my life just underneath the surface. I've been managing through it, hopefully. So don't let it just sit under the surface. Bring it up all the way. Start writing it out. Start writing a journal of your feelings. If you need counseling, get counseling. You know, I have a therapist. I have a group that I go to. I have 12-step groups that I go to. If it's good enough for me and you guys are watching me because you think I have something that you want, then if you want what I have, you should do what I do. You know, there's no badge for sitting around and trying to accomplish something by yourself that you can't do. Brain surgeons can't do brain surgery on themselves. Somebody else needs to do it for them. All right. So if Ed the Wave, you're having a hard time handling it, you need some help. He says, yeah, I was looking at telehealth therapists. Okay, great. Whatever the hell works. But that's good. It means that the 90-day is doing its job. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, you go to thunderwizard.com, click around until you get to Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Those practices, you just click on that, you subscribe, and if you want to do that, wait till the first of the month. We're already at 25th, so wait till the first of the month. And do that, and you just press play and you follow along with me. Just press play and do the exercises with me. Follow my directions. We're now at phase 3. You do one phase for 90 days at a time, at least. And then you'll start to see these transformations and you'll know what I'm talking about. That this idea that you've been handed that, you know, once you achieve enlightenment, everything is easy. And if you just take the red pill, all of a sudden you become woke. I mean, that's just not how it works. When you start to transform, you go through all kinds of emotional challenges and difficulties. And then the battle really begins. And now you have to fight. You have to learn how to fight and live through your feelings. And let me once again give the definition of enlightenment. The definition of enlightenment is this. You must have all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your impulses. You must feel them completely, acknowledge them, and accept them completely. Do not stuff them down. And then still have the ability to take conscious, constructive action. That is enlightenment. It doesn't get any better than that. People who just get into this state and they don't have any problems, they're not enlightened because we don't know what their challenges are. This is why some people who walk around with a smile on their face are the most annoying, angry, passive-aggressive. You know, this is why people would, you know, by the way, those of you who smoke weed, you are so angry. They're the most angry, passive-aggressive people I've ever known are pot smokers. They put on a really good face, but after a while, they always unload on you. They always explode on you at some point. Very judgmental, very superior. It's because they smoke weed to push all their anger down, and it comes out unconsciously. So you have to have all those feelings, feel them completely, not judge yourself for them, and love yourself through them, self-parent through them, and then take conscious, constructive action regardless of your feelings or in spite of your feelings. It's okay if you have good, positive feelings and you take action on them, and you do loving things towards people and yourself. But when you're angry and you don't want to do that, you want to act out, you want to cancel, you know, your commitment to yourself, you want to, you know, whatever, indulge in something that's harmful to yourself, and you do the opposite, you're now enlightened. So every one of you listening to me can be enlightened. And it comes from doing that, taking conscious, constructive action regardless of your feelings. Which Aruna Megan Gandhar Salamanca? Please write the word question if you have a question. That's what this is. This is, you ask a question if you have a question. That's how I want to do things. You say, please, would you talk about wealth? There's nothing to say. Go back and look at the 10 steps. Your soul is God. Everything must obey God. If you are doing what you truly want, the universe must give you all of the resources that you need. Wealth is having all of the resources you need to accomplish the things that you want. It's not having $1 million in the bank or having a huge house. If you live in a tiny little shack and you have perfect health and you have all the food that you need and you have all the friends and the love, you're wealthy. There are plenty of people sitting in giant mansions with billions of dollars who are miserable. Michael Jackson's a good example. The guy died. He was clearly the most famous, the most successful, the most well-beloved celebrity that's ever walked the face of the earth. And he was so miserable that he died addicted to the most powerful opiate available. He had to get a doctor to sit there and inject it into him and watch over him. That's how miserable he was. He was poor. He didn't have any wealth. So I don't know, you're from Chile. I don't know if you think that, because you don't have a whole heck of a lot of money, you're not wealthy. I don't know. I mean, I live pretty well. I have a really nice house that I'm renting. I have what I need, but that's because that's what I need to live where I am and do what I do. There was a point in my life where all I wanted to do was live in the mountains, and I did. I lived in a little shack. I lived in a little cabin by myself in the mountains, surrounded by moose and grizzly bears and bald eagles and rivers and streams, and the amount of money I spent to survive was almost nothing, but I was very wealthy because I had all of my needs met and I had all of the resources that I needed. That's wealth. There you go. All right, that's it for me, guys. I need to go and eat some food and get ready. I've got a massage coming up in a little bit. Very soon. So I got to go take care of that. So I'm going to go take a shower. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you're doing well. I will catch you next time. So take care of yourself.